Playing some more Commander today. Awesome hand, and we're playing against Isamaru, Hound of Konda. Alright, so Isamaru is a vanilla 2/2 for 1. It's usually White Voltron, and it's usually playing Armageddon, and Ravages of War, and land destruction effects. Playing Rayne again. I feel like I have a decent matchup, but so some of the things I liked about this hand right off the bat, I have Mana Leak on 2, so that can stop a sword from coming down. I mean, we are on the play, or on the draw, so Sower of Temptation is going to be our ultimate plan, but we also have Beguiler, so we have our 2 good control effects in this deck, and we're going to keep it. So we keep, and he goes Plains, Isamaru. Wow, I did not see that turn 1 play coming. I think it's one of the few decks that you don't run Ring out on turn 1 if you have it, just because you'd rather have the 2/2 down, and you can just play Ring on 2 for not a lot of loss of value. So we just land go, he beats us for 2, and he plays Torpor Orb, and that sucks. Some of our effects work off of it, so our Cheiromancer won't work, but more importantly, Sower is now a 4-mana 2/2 flyer. So Sower is out of luck. This is a great game though, so we land, we're planning on mana leaking anything. Now because our plan is Beguiler, we're actually going to counter the Ethereal Armor here. We don't want Isamaru to get too big, and First Strike makes it so that we can't even block trade with it. If, like, ultimately Sower might be able to block trade with it. So we're just going to mana leak the Ethereal Armor. It turns out to be the correct play. We were worried about him playing the enchantment route, and this would just continuously pump his commander for just playing valuable enchantments, not enchantments on the Isamaru. And sure enough, he goes with Greater Auramancy. So actually a great decision, because Isamaru would have immediately had Shroud. If he had played Greater Auramancy first, we probably would have let it go anyway. So the result probably would have been the same on either sequencing. So he's going to get in front of a 2. We've taken 4 so far. We draw a Ponder. Alright, so we're going to Ponder. We see Land, Mana Crypt, Pemminsora, and that is a great set. So we're going to take the Mana Crypt, leave Pemmins on top, Land, Mana Crypt, and Rayne. And that would have been a great if he hadn't had Torp Orb, that would have been the turn. We just slam Sower, take Isamaru, he untaps on turn 4, he's got nothing. But he has the Orb, unfortunately. So he's going to play Command Beacon. I don't know if I like this in Isamaru. I suppose if you need colorless sources, it's better than just a wastes, but your commander's so cheap. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's... I think a regular Plains might actually be better than that. So he's going to enter for 2. There's no way we're going to chump. We've taken 6 so far. Alright, and he taps out for Oblivion Ring, and I fully expect him to hit the Mana Crypt here. And he does. We get Rayne's ability, which we will always say yes to. Alright, now, I untap. Now, what I've seen Ethereal Armor. I'm worried about him dropping an Equipment and Sword next turn, and now we don't have Desertion mana open. We would have if we had Crypt, but since we don't, we need to make sure Isamaru doesn't pick up one of the swords. So we're actually going to, contrary to popular belief, Pemminsora has some pretty sweet utility on it. This last line of text, the enchanted creature +1, -1 or -1 +1. So we're going to Pemminsora his Isamaru. Now because Greater Auramancy is enchanted creatures you control off Shroud, even though he doesn't control Pemminsora, he controls the creature. So now Isamaru has Shroud and he cannot equip it anymore. So we've now guaranteed Isamaru can never hit for more than 2. Short of Anthems. So he plays land and he ends for 2. We're not using the mana anyway, and I don't feel like leaving the bluff up, so we're going to use that. And we have the option to trade for Isamaru here, but he can just recast it because it's so cheap. I feel like our best bet is to leave Isamaru in play as long as possible. So we're just going to make it a 1-3 and only suffer our 7th point of commander damage. Just blunt a little bit of damage. Alright, so he plays Stoneforge Mystic, and I was terrified when I saw this, and then it entered, and it did nothing because of Torpor Orb. And you'll see that messages start going off over here. I commented on Stoneforge Mystic, Torpor Orb, Nombo. He said, yeah, it's worth the inclusion in the deck, though. And I can absolutely agree. Both of those cards are well worth the inclusions. So we drew Sapphire Medallion, and we're planning on sitting on Desertion. So we're Desertion or Teferi. So we're just going to let it go. Pure Steel Paladin, we don't care about. That's the Stoneforge Torpor Orb stuff. So he is going to go in. Now we could ambush Viper here and kill the Stoneforge, but I don't really want him to have a main phase with Teferi in play before I untap with it and have counter magic. Because if his last card is Swords, Teferi is going to feel terrible. So we'd only be preventing 1 damage anyway, because we're definitely not killing Isamaru. So we're just going to do it on end step, so that way we can make sure we guarantee that we untap with it, and he can't Swords before we have untapped mana. Swords or Path to Exile or something like that. Drew Glen Elandra, which is awesome. So we could play Sapphire Medallion, go down to 3, and then Glen Elandra, but we lose the Desertion mana, and we really want to sit on Desertion / Beguiler now, because Beguiler is going to be our way to dig out of this. So use Command Beacon and some lands Brimaz, and I give some thought to Desertion on Brimaz, but ultimately I decide against it because we have Beguiler, and Beguiler is just going to take Brimaz anyway. We really want Desertion on like some giant mana artifact or some draw artifact or something that's going to lose us the game that Beguiler can't deal with. So he's going to go in, we're not going to block, and we've taken 11 damage so far from the commander, I believe. Steel Shaper's Gift, so he's going to go search up something, and I'm surprised by what he searches up. Now, he doesn't know that we have Beguiler coming down, or that we have Desertion in hand. So, on this board, I think Jite would still be probably his best bet, because he's 1 mana short of being able to get in with... he's 1 mana short of being able to use Stoneforge Mystic. It actually surprised me because he had exactly 5. So he could have Steel Shaper Gift, assume it resolves, Stoneforge Mystic it in, away from counter magic, equip Pure Steel, and get him with Pure Steel. I mean, it'd be a throwaway on the Pure Steel Paladin. He would draw a card though, but it would actually put counters on the Jite. So he could kill off Rayne if he wanted to, which probably wouldn't be terrible. But if he had gotten counters on the Jite, we can't play Beguiler. It's not that this isn't really a card that people play around though. So, alright, so he gets Hero's Blade. And I'm like, okay. I don't think that's great. I think he's forgetting Stoneforge Mystic. Torpor Orb turned off the first part of it, and I think in his mind, he's just made a shortcut that Stoneforge Mystic is a vanilla 1/2, and not realizing that it can actually put stuff in. So we slam Beguiler, and he comments saying, that's probably going to win you the game, and I say, yeah, it probably will. Beguiler's that good, and I'm talking about why he didn't get Jite. I don't know why it's doing these boxes with names. I've seen it a couple times now. Only in the replays, though. Alright, so we take Stoneforge Mystic before we can put anything in uncounterably. We drew a 6 land, so we slam that, and he's going to play Hero's Blade. And because that pumps power quite high, and our next plan is to take Brimaz, we're actually just going to counter it. But we're going to play Glen Elandra. We need to get more creatures in play for Beguiler, and we're going to use Glen Elandra. And that actually gives us 2 counter spells this turn if we really need it. So, Hero's Blade goes away. And he he probably thinks twice about whatever he was going to cast because we have the Glenalandra. So he goes in for 2. We're going to throw away the Stoneforge Mystic. We just want an out of play. Because if he can get rid of Beguiler, he gets Stoneforge Mystic back, and we don't want that to exist on the battlefield. He plays Relic Seeker. Relic Seeker is okay. Alright, so we draw Forbid, and Forbid is going to be what wins us this game, ultimately. So, we're going to take Brimaz right away, and we're going to play Sapphire Medallion. Now, we have 4 mana up, which is exactly enough for Desertion at this point. So, he plays 3 mana, and now he plays this into Glenalandra, and I'm expecting that he is planning for this to be countered, or he forgot what Glenalandra does. But because it's pro-blue, we can't let that happen. So we're going to Desertion that, actually. I see this as a great way to build a clock, get some power out, and start running through his library too. Give him less and less options for what he has to deal with. And Penman's Roar has outlived its usefulness, so we're just going to take Isamaru off the battlefield before he gets too big. He doesn't even order his blockers correctly, so we get to keep the cat as well. Brimaz building an army for Beguiler of Whales is pretty spicy. So we're just going to take the Relic Seeker pre-combat, and we're going to equip Brimaz, make him a 5/6, and get into the red zone. And he's going to trump the cat, but that means we get a wolf instead of that. I think it's in his better interest to jump Brimaz, because we either have a 1/1 that he gets hit with, or he gets hit for 5, and we get a wolf, and he mills 10. So he milled some good stuff. There's the Jitte, which we expected he had. He lost Sword of War and Peace, Sword of the Animus, which is a very good card, especially in an Isamaru deck. So he's going to tap out, play Isamaru again, and once he's done that, I know the writing's kind of on the wall, and he sort of admits that the writing's on the wall. He's going to kill a cat. We get a Renown. And we click yes just for a shuffle. We don't actually have any illegal targets in the deck right now, so we might get this Sword of the Animist at some point, put in the deck and test that out. It seems fun. We could fabricate for it too, if we want to. So he plays Grand Abolisher, and that cannot happen. So we're going to Forbid with buyback. We don't really need Sower because it's dead to Torp Orb and Gilded Lotus. I don't really see a point to deploy that, and I'd rather have Forbid. Propaganda, we're just going to keep that up for Forbid food. Take the Isamaru before blockers. Get in there. 1, 2, okay, yeah. That's what I thought. So we're going to take Isamaru, and we could have put him to 1 this turn, but I like leaving a couple back, and it wouldn't have actually increased our clock. So he knows the writing's on the wall. Once he played Isamaru again, he knew he wasn't getting out from under it, because you can't Armageddon this board anyway. So I mean, you counter it, but it's not even something that you would want to do. So I considered sorting up Isamaru and killing him with his own commander, but I went for the Rayne kill because she so commonly doesn't get to kill anyone with her own combat damage, so she gets to take a good kill. This guy was a good sport. He didn't just scoop when the writing popped up, and he knew that he wasn't winning, but it's a great game and a very cool way to come back from an Isamaru Torpor Orb setup. He didn't draw too live. He drew a lot of lands late game, and that's not really what Isamaru ever wants to do. So that's the game. We'll see you in the next one.